Meteorologist Rob Perillo.
Welcome back. Well, it's always good to see the western side of a tropical storm or hurricane, and a storm that also pretty much had a lot of dry air filtering into it. So not much weather to speak of in Acadiana, and no complaints here. Still some rainy weather, still the threat of squalls through tomorrow. We'll show you that as well. So we're not out of the woods, but again, the greatest risk of flooding, rainfall, storm surge, everything else mainly well east of our area, and that is the good news. So let's take a look at the satellite imagery. Visible satellite imagery pretty much telling it all today, and I had landfall a couple of hours ago. National Hurricane Center finally coming out, but there's that center swirl. If you paid attention to the lowest level swirl, that's probably where your lowest pressures are, and that's already working its way through Breton Sound and then probably up through Lake Borgne, and then is going to be moving to the north with time. But again, landfall in extreme southeastern Louisiana, that's kind of a loose term. If you've ever been out here, not much land, a lot of marsh, and more water than anything else. So that's official, and thank goodness we've had that dry air wrapping around the system. It never intensified last night and won't intensify any further. Still sporting about 50-mile-an-hour winds with flood watches from eastern Louisiana through the Florida Panhandle. Now they're getting extended all the way up through Missouri in anticipation of where this storm is going to go down the line. Now this afternoon, we're also dialed into the Mobile Doppler radar, and you can see where that heavy rain band is, and this is going to be the problematic area over the next several hours, if not more, where you have these rain bands continuing over the same areas. So rainfall here piling up pretty nicely, and some locally heavy rainfall, as we showed you earlier in the newscast, over toward NOLA and eastern Louisiana. Pretty much solid rains the other side of the Atchafalaya Basin on eastward, but also we've been getting persistent rains running across lower St. Martin and St. Mary Parish over the last several hours. So rain totals here are going to be more than likely the highest for the entire storm and could total out 3 to 4 inches. We'll watch this area just in case rains become too persistent and then we start having some localized street flooding and then something more. The rest of us, just sporadic showers, and that's the way it's going to go for a while. We'll show you the model in just a bit, but we could have some surprises down the line. Here's the infrared satellite imagery showing those hefty storms all the way over through Florida, but the biggest intense cells right now near and north of the center of circulation and off to the east, and some on the southern flank. Don't see much enhancement moving into Acadiana as these tropical showers have been moving our way. They have been weakening, but we'll keep an eye on the trends. That could change this evening. 50-mile-an-hour storm pressure hasn't changed. It's slowed down a little bit, moving to the north at 7. National Hurricane Center still going with a north-northwesterly trek, pretty much going up the Mississippi River and then into Arkansas by tomorrow afternoon. And then beyond that, as we go down the road, and interestingly enough, the Hurricane Center keeps this a depression all the way up through Wisconsin. Wisconsin has never had a tropical depression go through its state. Some remnants, yes, but not an official depression. So we'll see if that verifies down the road, but just an interesting meteorological tidbit there. So here's the high-resolution rapid refresh model. I like the way this model looks. I think it's capturing the spirit of the storm right now and shooting the rains our way, but nothing too heavy. Heavier stuff over into Mississippi and Alabama, and you can see how it moves to the north. Then as we get into tomorrow morning, we'll start watching these feeder bands that could develop into the storm. And interestingly enough, it looks like the pressure wants to drop a little bit as this gets into Mississippi, northeast Louisiana, so that could make it a little bit more interesting as well. And notice we could have something like this. Might be here, it might be here, or it might be up here, but this is where we could pick up several inches of rain in a short period of time, so the threat of localized flooding will continue. Can't even rule out an isolated tornado in this type of pattern, so we'll be watching that. It's going to be juicy tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid-80s. Dew points are going to be way up there, so humidity is going to be high. So the threat of these tropical showers and thunderstorms continuing through this time tomorrow evening, and then hopefully abating going into tomorrow night. And then we'll have another chance of storms or two Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's the big picture on your winds. Again, no more than 20-25 mile-an-hour gusts, 30 max locally, and that's good news for us. The higher winds off to the east in the 40 to 50 mile-an-hour range. Gulfport to Biloxi, and you can see those enhanced areas where the tropical squall set up. And then tomorrow gets interesting for us down on our Acadiana coast. Tides have been about 1 foot above normal with a north wind. They're going to be southwest and picking up, so tides are going to increase along the coast, 2 to 3 foot inundations in some spots along the coast. So keep that in mind through tomorrow night, gradually abating into Tuesday. As for rainfall, not a whole lot. We'll say 1 to 3, 2 to 3, maybe up to 4 inches, especially as you get into St. Mary and Terrebonne parishes. And then farther to the east, we see some of those very heavy rainfalls that could produce flooding. Upwards of 8, maybe even 10 inches of rain can fall overnight tonight through tomorrow morning. So those spots are going to be under the gun over the next 6 to 12 hours. Your forecast for tomorrow, it's going to be an interesting day, on and off scattered showers and some thunderstorms as well. We'll keep an eye on things. Very warm, very humid, but some sun intervals possible in between, especially into the afternoon. So it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Slight chance of a shower or storm Tuesday. Wednesday early, we got a front coming in, and that's going to produce thunderstorms. And I think we might have a fairly good chance at severe weather. Right now, we're hatched in for a marginal risk of severe storms. That's probably going to go to slight because we're going to be bucking dew points in the upper 70s more than likely. And when you have a front working on dew points in the upper 70s, it could be trouble. But there, after that, no trouble at all. Dry air, still warm during the day, but more comfortable at night down the line. And next weekend, looking much better than this weekend. Kendria?
All right, thank you, Rob.